Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to episode 3 of the Deu Awuok Show, where it is my job to interview professional and collegiate soccer players about their life journeys around the beautiful game. On this episode, I speak with Nick Szabo, a former teammate of mine during my time at Canisius. We speak about his experience playing for Empire Academy, now rebranded as Rochester New York FC, and the sacrifices made to play academy soccer, his D1 recruiting process, and lessons learned, as well as successfully balancing a Division One sport while majoring in finance, minoring in computer science, and having a part-time job. Nick is one of the smartest, hardest working people I know, and I think you guys will enjoy this episode. Hey Nick, welcome to the show.
Hey, dude, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Nice, nice. Let's get right into it. For the first question, let's start from the beginning and go back to your early days of playing soccer. When and how did you get started? And talk to us about those early days.
Yeah, so for me, I started playing when I was, when I was a kid. They had like a U6 league, kind of right under six,
Mm-hmm.
kind of league that was established in my town. And my best friend growing up, his dad and my dad both, signed up to coach the team, and so we played on that team together when we were 5, 6 years old, and then that kind of just grew and elevated through for the rest of my life. That's kind of started though.
Nice. And then I think maybe 4 or 5 years later, you started playing for the DA, the Development Academy. For those not familiar with the sport, talk to us about that decision to play for them.
Yeah, so at least how the kind of soccer system worked where I was from is that most of the towns had small local teams, right? So I grew up in a place called Grand Island. There was the
Mm-hmm.
Grand Island Soccer Club, right? And so we played the other local towns around us, and so I started doing that with you know just all the kids I went to school with, right? Our coach was one of my friend's dads at the time, right? That was kind of how it started. And then through there, by the time you get to like 10, 11 years old, there start to be these what they called premier teams
Mm-hmm.
in the town. And those were, more select clubs where kids from the various towns would go and try out to and be able to go play there. So I didn't play for one of those teams until I was in eighth grade. Eighth grade, I played for a team called the Buffalo Soccer Club.
Yep.
Um, so I played on there, and then there was after that first season, all the kids from the various premier teams were all kind of in our area. Were going to this other club called Empire United. So I remember trying out for that. I was nervous. I didn't think that I was going to make that team when I was a freshman.
Yeah.
It was like, that was like the big try. That was to me, that was like, we were going to the Premier League there, right? So I remember trying out for that, and, luckily I made the team. And then oddly enough, like, I was like middle of the pack, below middle of the pack on that team for the
Yeah.
majority of the year, right? For the
Yeah.
majority of that year, my freshman year of high school. And we, in that you play in like the league, and then there's this thing called State Cup, which is all the teams in like your area of the state. Ours was Western New York. You compete, and it's this little tournament. And if you win that, then you can go to regionals, and if you win regionals, you go to nationals. And we ended up winning State Cup that year, and it was really like the end of State Cup, the last game in State Cup, where I was really like a starter on the team. So like the
Yeah.
very last game. So I was like, okay, so we won that, and we went to regionals, and then we went to the regional tournament. I was starting, and I played like amazing. But for that
Yeah.
whole year, I was like not playing. I would go to games, not play at all. I was coming off the bench, and then just in that regional tournament, I got a lot of time, played really well. And then there was the next step up in youth soccer
Yeah.
was the Development Academy, and um, their coaches were at the regional tournament, and they saw me playing, and they asked me to come and be on their team from next year, which was an even further geographic reach. Right, it was kids from Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse. Kind of the major cities in Western New York all um, came together and played on that team, and so that's how I ultimately got to the academy. Yeah.
Wow, that's quite the story. I mean, the jump from not playing much to now playing at a professional academy. I mean, kudos to you. You don't hear that often, so that's impressive.
Yeah, I think you just got to get. I mean, it's kind of like when you go to as you're trying to get seen going to college and stuff, you just got to get lucky and play well one time when someone sees you, and then
Yeah, the talent's gotta be there. The opportunity, like the talent's gotta be there, but the opportunity's gotta be there as well. So you look like you took advantage of the opportunity that was presented to you. I guess maybe talk about the decision to join the DA, right? It's a big commitment, right? So in your case in particular, you were traveling a couple hours per training section, right? Because you lived in Buffalo and trainings were in Rochester. You were missing out on, social events during your high school years. You weren't allowed to play high school soccer. Not to mention the fact that you're traveling across the country to play all these games. Talk to us about, the sacrifices that it required in your thought process as you made that decision.
yeah. So I remember at the time it was more. I didn't really fully grasp the commitment that it was going to be when you're in 10th grade and they're like it's going to be like this, right? Um, in my head, I remember being more worried that I was going to go there and just not be as good as everybody, right? Just not be able to like
Mm,
compete with everybody. So that
yeah.
was really like where I was scared to go and play. It didn't really like to me. I was like, it didn't really fully grasp kind of the commit that went into it. But yeah, like you said, it was an hour and a half to practice there, an hour and a half back, 3 days a
Wow.
week.
So
We
3 hours.
played, yeah, 3 hours of travel pretty much a day.
Wow.
We played every weekend, right? So like if it was a home game, it was an hour and a half to get to the game. A lot of times we went on away games, which were like usually we'd have we'd have one of the coach buses, right? And it's usually like 9 hours. So like it'd be like in New York
Wow.
City or in Boston or kind of just local that kind of like region, that northeast region.
Yeah.
Um, it was yeah, I missed out on high school soccer, and like I mean, looking back at it, would I've loved to have played high school soccer and done more of the things in high school? 100%. Like that would have been, I think that would have been just like an amazing and fun opportunity. I think I did miss out on some of those memories, but also at the time I was, you know, I'm glad that I decided to go and play on the academy because it was a chance to see, if I could play with the best kids in the area, if I could compete. And then also I had a dream of going and playing college soccer and, seeing how far I could go with soccer. And I wanted to see if I could, play against the best kids that were out there. And so, um, there was only one place that you could really get that opportunity. If you wanted to keep developing as a player and getting better, you had to go and play against the best kids. And so ultimately that's what I decided to do. And, yeah, but it was a big commitment for a high schooler to make.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. To your point, you didn't realize until you were actually in it. But looking back now, I'm sure for you it was worth it. But it was a sacrifice. You ultimately are playing 3 seasons at the DA. You started 40 games out of the 42 that you played in, and in your last season, I believe you played out of position. You were playing as a center back, as opposed to traditional position as a midfielder. And from a recruiting standpoint, I would think that disadvantaged you, right? Because the college scouts weren't able to see you in your best position or your natural position. Did that? First of all, do you agree with that assessment? Two, did that ever cross your mind? And how did you navigate that process? Was the team always first in your mindset?
Well, for me, like, it was my first year playing on the team. I was just like happy to be there, and it was a grind to get on the field. Right that year,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
when you said 40 out of 42, like, I don't know how you got that statistic.
I looked it up online. It was on your
Uh,
bio. So
to me, I definitely remember. I remember, there was games where I was starting, games when I wasn't starting. I felt I didn't start a lot more than 2 games. It was tough. It was tough. I was just like happy to be on the field. And that first year I was playing predominantly, holding mid where like I
Mhm.
felt I was comfortable, like crazy because we played in Boston one time and I have relatives out in Boston and, you know, told them that I was going to be in Boston. Then they all came to my game and they came to my game and I didn't play a single minute. It was the only time any family came to watch me. I just sat on the bench. And you get on the bus and it's 8 hours to get there, right? And you're like, so it's already terrible enough not playing. But then I had to go and talk to them after the game, and they're like, I don't really know. They're like, good to see you, I guess. You didn't really do much. But uh, but yeah, that was the first year, and I was just kind
Yeah.
of just
Getting
constantly
adjusted.
just getting adjusted to because it was some of the players that we played against were just incredible,
Yeah.
and it was really when you I went from just kind of you played soccer and you started to you were in a position and you knew maybe you
Yeah.
had four defenders, four midfielders, two forwards, right? But like when we got to the academy, like we would have practices where we were just like looking at our shape. When the ball goes here, how do you move like
Yeah.
defensively and offensively? If you're in possession if you're in possession, you're receiving the ball, like just that little step, like of opening up, seeing how the defense moves, and then where your players go, where are their pockets of space. You really start analyzing the game from that perspective, which was tough to adjust to if you hadn't been there
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, starting my junior year, I remember the first couple of games I was playing, starting in the midfield, and um, we had the lead, we're tied, and we ended up like losing or drawing those first 6 games because like we
Yeah.
had a center back and um, all just like it was always just one mistake that would happen
Yeah.
right at the end of the game. Like they were actually like I thought they were like a good center back. They just seemed to make one mistake at the like
Yeah.
when it mattered most, and so
At that level,
um,
those cost you.
I was playing holding mid, so that's a natural flow to like go play
Yeah.
center back. But obviously, like, I'm 5'9", so it's we had, like at the time like we had another big center back that would just win 50-50s, and my job was just go hard into tackles and not get beat out of my position, right? Like read the play, drop back and up. So anything in the air he would take care of, and then I could play the ball out of the back and win a tackle when I needed to. Um,
So you were the technical, he was the more physical dominance in the back.
Yeah, but to your question, I definitely think that affected me like for colleges. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, the American like college is very physical,
Yeah.
as opposed to more technical, right? And um, I'm sure like if you would have asked our coach at Canisius, like he would have told you he wants his center backs to be 6'4" bigger, right? He wanted bigger
Yeah.
guys back there, and that's how everybody feels. And so they see me at 5'9", like it doesn't matter what I was doing.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to really get a look. So yeah, I think that affected me. It also, takes away from the experience that you could get playing in the midfield, playing somewhere else. So I was like really learning and adjusting to a new position when I should have been where I would have hoped to have been. Honing my skills in a different position. But at that point, honestly, I was just happy to be on the field. I would
Yeah.
play any position. Like once you get to a certain level, like it's you're happy to be on the field because there's only
Yeah.
11 guys who get to be on the field, and you have a team of 20 some guys you want to play.
Yeah, and you're treated like professionals. It's not like your local high school team where you have the starters, and then mostly if you're on the team, you'll get some minutes, right? This is like the professionals academy, so it's like professional. If you get a couple steps a game, and those are guys that are going to make an impact. So if you're not starting or you're one of those few guys off the bench, you're not guaranteed to play, right? So um, I guess some part of that, right? It's like that you had to kind of step in that role and kind of limit your ability to be seen in your best light for college recruiting. I guess on that point, how was that process for you? What does the recruiting process look like for those playing at the development academy?
Yeah, so at the academy, there was always, especially for the away games, because there was more. There's only a few local college teams in the area, right? Like there's
Yeah,
um, you know, regardless. On the away games, there is more opportunity for coaches to be at the games. At least that I wasn't familiar with those coaches, right? So
hmm
pretty much when you knew, like, if we were going to, let's say, Boston, for example, for a game, like if you
yeah,
were interested in, you know, Boston University, Boston College, any of those Northeastern, any of those schools over there, you would go and email all their coaches and say like, hey,
hmm
I have a game here. This is where we're playing. This is the time. This is the team. I'm playing this position. Interested in your school. It'd be great if you could come and watch the game. And so coaches would come and watch the game. That was pretty much the first line of action that you could take to get seen.
yeah,
Secondly, with the academy, like we had 2 showcase tournaments a year. So there was the winter showcase and then the summer showcase if you weren't in playoffs. So we were in the summer showcase in the playoffs. And and so at that it was really interesting. There were like 50 coaches at every game that you played. It was just they were
Wow.
all the coaches in the country were there. And so you had a lot of opportunity to be seen there. Um, for me, it was tough. Like my junior year, didn't have a ton of interest really,
Hmm.
especially playing center back. Being 5'9", that wasn't I wasn't like some spectacular center back. I was just serviceable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it was, and we weren't like a super successful team. So it was just like I wasn't getting a ton of looks there. I mean, I had some guys on my team who were incredible who went and played at like really great schools. So it's not
Yeah.
like that. It's more on me just not being a great center back.
Yeah, I mean, you were disadvantaged. I mean, like for you to like not to stand out in a bad way, like given your height and given your experience, not playing in the center, you were playing out of position, and you managed to do a good job where you kept playing in that position, right? So that's impressive in its own. But I can imagine like guys are gonna see you 5'9". Why would I bring this guy? Because they don't understand the context of why you're playing there, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah, and then exactly. But my senior year, I had started like talking to more teams, and talking to more schools, and then funny enough, before the winter tournament, I had we were playing against a team, and I don't remember what the circumstances were, but I got moved back up into the midfield. I think we were pushing for a goal, and
yeah,
like I had 20 minutes. I had 20 minutes where I was playing in the midfield, and I played great for 20 minutes. Right, I played like I was just balling, right, and so they were like, all right, in this tournament, like we'll keep you in the midfield. We liked it. We thought it worked. And so I had been talking to one school going into that tournament. And I had like progressed pretty far with that school, and I honestly thought that I was going to be going there.
yeah,
So like I talked to the coach, went and visited the school, and pretty much had like a soft commitment from them. They were like, yeah, like I sent over a bunch of paperwork and all this stuff, filled out whatever they'd asked me to. They were like, yeah, we put that into the like admissions office or whatever it is. They're like, we just have to make sure that you're going to be accepted into the school, and once you are, then you'll be committed, you'll be here. Like they'd offered me my scholarship and financial aid package, and like that's pretty much what it was. And
yeah,
so I went to this tournament in the winter, playing back in the midfield, and um, I was playing great. Like I was just, I felt relaxed though because I thought I was already going somewhere. Right, I was back
yeah,
in the
yeah,
midfield. I was like, I mean, any of one of these games, they'll throw me back on in the back four, and I'll be pissed.
yeah, yeah,
So I was like, just go have some fun. And I was playing great, and so I started like there were schools who were talking to me and like asking my coach if I was committed or not. And my coach asked me, and he was like, "There's some schools who are like interested in talking to you." And he's like, from his perspective, he wants to make sure if he's going to, pass along one of his players to the coaches that they're actually interested because
yeah,
it's his reputation as well. He doesn't want to like string coaches along because then they'll be less interested to come and like ask future players, right? Which makes
yeah,
total
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
And so I was like, I'm already pretty much committed, but like, and I really want to go to this school, so I'm
yeah.
okay. So he's like, sure. And so that kind of went on for the rest of that tournament.
Wow.
Um, get back from the tournament like right when it ended, and the school calls me and they're like, hey, we got to talk. I know we offered you scholarship and we said, we were going to make it so that this would be the total cost of attending the school would be here,
Yeah,
which is exactly what I needed to go to that school. Right. Cause,
yeah,
and they pretty much just pulled the rug out from under me and said, yeah, we're not offering you anything. You can come and walk onto the team pretty much if that's what you really want to do. And, that I remember being so frustrated and upset. Right. Cause I
yeah,
pretty much shut doors to other opportunities that I had,
yeah,
was really excited to go to school, and then just felt kind of lied and manipulated too, and as
yeah,
like a high schooler and like a college coach, you don't think that that's something that they would do
yeah,
to a kid who's trying to go
yeah,
to college, right?
yeah.
So that was tough. That was tough when that happened, and I was pretty much, and that was late into my senior year, and so
Wow.
I was kind of scrambling at that point. So able to find something, and then I told my coaches, and they were like getting me in contact with anybody that they knew who had some availability, who would come and like look at me, talk to me. But most places had already given out all their spots for their incoming classes. Um, Luckily enough, I ended up going to Canisius. which was, great. It was a local school. I knew people who had went there. I knew
Yep.
people who were there currently, and so I was excited. It was Division 1, so I was excited to still go. And in my
Yeah.
mind, when I'd first gone there, though, I was, we'll give it a try, because I wanted to get outside of Buffalo, where I grew
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, we'll
Yeah.
go play. I want to play ball, and then we'll see about see what happens from there.
Yeah, looking to transfer potentially. And I think you touched on a point that I think I want our viewers, especially the young viewers who are looking to play college soccer, or in particular the Division 1 level. It's, going with a little bit of the mindset that, like, unless you've gotten the offer, unless you sign, right, don't put all the, eggs in that one basket per se. Like, um, sometimes coaches are going to do things that are going to be in their best interest, right, for the
Hmm.
program, and that might not align with your interests. So, like, keep that in mind, and try to be more like, it's very easy to, like, to take people's word and to go along with that, but just try to protect yourself and look for ways to ensure that, like,
Hmm.
you're not out there, because for you it worked out that you found a school that you wanted to go to and you were close to family and friends, but um you know the situation could have been completely different. So there's something that I think for our viewers that they can, keep in mind and hopefully learn from that experience.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, it's nothing certain until you sign some paper or you have that firm commitment. Don't take anybody's word.
For sure, for sure. I guess, you so ultimately committed going to Canisius College. Talk to us about the preparations going to our first season of college soccer. What was that summer look like for you?
Yeah, so over the summer, that was my only focus, right? I told myself that I was going to go there and I was going to play and I was going to, make an impact right away. So I knew that we had a fitness test that we had to do. It was, 2 miles in 12 minutes, right? Too. And, but that was like my goal, right? That was, so I was doing that, but also working on my game, right? I was making sure that like everything, every aspect of my game was sharp, so that I could go there and make an impact. So I was training at least twice a day, right? On the field, playing as much as I could, just constantly playing. Just the only thing I could focus on was making sure that when I got there, I could make an impact.
Nice, yeah, and I think it looked like it worked out for you because that freshman year, you were only one of two freshmen that was starting. Like, half of us were redshirting, and then a couple guys were coming off the bench to get some minutes. But then, you started the first 7 games as a freshman, which was quite impressive. But then you get injured, and that was ultimately end of your college season that year. Talk to us about the injury and how tough was that to deal with. Given that you put in all this work, in preseason, right? And then you complete what you wanted to do, what you set your mind to do. All that work paid off, and then something out of your control happens, and that kind of ruins your whole season. Talk to us about what that process looks like for you.
Yeah, well, my freshman year, I had like two injuries. So
Hmm.
I when I first got to preseason, right, we had like fitness tests, and we had a couple of days of just playing, and I was playing great for those first couple of days, right? And I
Yeah.
talked to the coach after practice, and he was like, it was like the third day of preseason. He's like, yeah, we like are surprised, super surprised by what you're doing, and we're loving how you're playing. They're like, from everything we see, he told me the other day, and I was like, he's like, we see you as being like a day one starter when we start
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
Just keep it up. He's like, don't change anything that you're doing, just keep it up. We love what we're seeing. So I was like, the next day I get out there and I was buzzing,
Yeah.
right? I had
Yeah.
so much confidence. And there was a kid on our team. There was a kid on our team who was, super big, tall dude, athletic, but just ripped. Like he was like a bodybuilder. Like that's what he did. He worked out. And
Yeah.
I remember this. We were playing some like kind of half field,
Small sided.
sort of. No, it was like half field sort of possession. There was like two goals.
Uh-huh.
There was like, each side had like cone goals on each far side. So you could like shift back and forth. There was a lot of just like kind of just more of a scrimmage, more or less. But I
Yep.
remember I was playing outside back and I saw the ball was coming to him, and I was like, I'm gonna go and just put my shoulder into him, right? I was like, I'm gonna just go be aggressive. I'm gonna win this tackle, but I'm also going to blow this guy up, right? Just like put in
Yeah.
a hard tackle because
Yeah. Yeah.
I came into school, I was 5'9", 135 pounds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this was the biggest dude on the team. So I was like,
Make a
I'm gonna
statement.
hit this kid. I'm gonna show him that like I'm here. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I ran full speed. And as the ball's in there, I get the ball and I put my shoulder into him, and I just collapsed into the ground. It was like I remember it literally felt like I ran into a brick wall. I couldn't believe it, right? I couldn't believe it. And my leg hurt so bad. My leg hurt so bad. It was like I caught his knee right into my thigh, right? And
Yeah.
I remember getting up and like limping, but I was like, I just gotta like jog through. And it was right at the end of practice. So practice ended, and you know, one issue was I should have just went to the trainer, but I was like, oh, it's just a Charlie horse, right? It's
Yeah.
not gonna
Yeah.
be any issue. So I went
Yeah.
home, whatever, that was the practice. I woke up the next day and my leg was so swollen and hard as a rock. Like
Wow.
it was just nothing like that had ever happened to me. So that was the first injury, and I missed the next month and a half because I couldn't walk. It was honestly that was the most painful injury I've ever had in my life. Like I was waking up like it was just a Charlie horse too, which made no sense, but it was
Jesus.
like it just kind of was like a bad one. It was waking me up in my sleep. I remember that was terrible. But I missed like a month and a half there, which was horrible because I had put in so much time and effort and was like at the peak of where I was playing those first couple of days. And
Yeah.
then, after not being able to walk or move for like a month and a half, my fitness was gone. Took me a while to get my touch back when I came back. Ultimately ended up starting 7 games, which was great to play. But then got like hurt, sick, whatever you want to call it, and
Yeah.
missed the remainder of the season. And then that off season I got hurt and ended up just stopped playing soccer after that first year. But um, yeah, would have that running into that kid
Yeah.
was
Wow.
the wrong decision to
Yeah.
make.
But I mean, you gotta respect it, because I mean, for our viewers listening, there was probably a 50-pound difference between you and him. I think, he was like what, 6'3", 6'4", maybe 195 or something, right? So
Oh,
there's,
he was way bigger than me.
I mean, the mindset, you have to respect that, to like want to make a statement and go up against the big dude, which unfortunately didn't turn out well. But I guess
Almost broke my leg.
I guess how do you deal with that mentally? Because it must have been tough, right? Things were out of your control. You did everything you could possibly do, and then life happens, and stuff like this happens.
mentally, mentally, man, I was like, dude, I was so upset. I mean, I just worked so hard over the summer. Like I worked so hard, and I
Yeah,
was and I was, I was in position to start, and just like it just all of a sudden it was all right. You're back to square one. You got to start over. And then I had started some games, and I was just getting back to being in shape, and just getting back to my touch was starting to come back and like feel like where I was before, and then got hurt again. And I remember just like being crushed. Just
okay, yeah,
it's difficult. It's difficult when you're working so hard and you get a setback, and you're working so hard and you get a setback. Um, and at that point too, right? That was when games were going on. So you know, all your friends at school are on the team, and they're
yeah,
traveling to away games.
yeah, yeah,
And you're sitting in your room, and there's nothing you can do. And even even like when you're hurt though, everyone's going to training, and training is one of the best parts of being on the team, because that's when you're playing the game, and it's amazing. But two, like that's when you're joking with your friends, that's when you're like building friendships, like the banter. That's the stuff that I miss, and you're just kind of watching it from the outside, which is you know mentally it's difficult to deal with. Obviously, like the only way that you can deal with it is to just like keep going through and work harder than before. But when they start
yeah,
compounding, it really I don't have it. I honestly I can't say that it's like easier. There's anything that you can do to like make it better. You just have to have that kind of like mental willpower to just kind of push through
yeah.
when those things happen. Yeah.
Like, that makes sense. And I guess soccer up to this point was a big part of your life, and you committed an intense amount of your time over the last 5 years playing with the DA, right, and then prepping for college. How was the adjustment from playing soccer, that was a big part of your life, to now just being a student, and how was that adjustment for you? Was it tough to like transition from being an athlete to a regular student?
Yeah, so for me at that point, after getting hurt, like I had put so much time into the DA, so much time into like getting ready and playing at Canisius, and then At that point, like, I was okay with being done. Like, obviously, I wanted to play, but then part of me was like, my whole life, all I've known is just only being a soccer player.
Hmm.
And so it was nice to try to like be just a regular, just like just person. You don't have to have this huge
Yeah,
commitment when you didn't need it. So that was something that was nice, but also something that I loved about soccer was the ability to compete. Right, you kind of lose that when you're not there. So like
yeah,
for me, I miss the structure of like knowing that I have to train, knowing that I have a game, knowing that I can like objectively grade myself against my peers, and know that like if I can put in work and measure it every
yeah,
day, measure myself, and that was something that was tough to get over because it's tough to find ways in which you can compete and drive and force yourself to grow outside of sport. And I think that that's something that even to this day, like I would like, there's
yeah,
nothing like it, and
yeah.
that's tough to adjust to.
I can imagine. And it looked like that transition for you worked out well because you ultimately, you know, ended up graduating summa cum laude, with a degree in finance and a minor in computer science. This was while obviously playing soccer and having a part time job. You not only managed um, to make the time and do well in these. You not only managed all of these different tasks you were involved in, but you also excel in all of them. I guess what do you think helped you successfully manage all of them, and are there any habits or routines that you come to mind that can help some of our viewers as they kind of navigate their life?
Yeah, I mean, thanks. I mean, excel's a strong word, but
And summa cum laude, that's the highest. That's the highest level. You were starting as a freshman. You're doing well in your part-time job. That's excelling
uh,
for me.
thanks, dude. Thanks, dude. I guess like I guess the only advice that I can say is whatever you do, just try to just take pride in trying to do well, right?
Hmm.
You know, if you have something that you can put your name on, or any
Yeah,
sort of work that you can do, right? Take pride in it and know that just like it doesn't have to be perfect because it's not gonna work out every time, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
exactly the same as when you're playing, right? You're gonna try
yeah,
some things, and that's the beauty of the sport is you you try and it doesn't work, and then you get the ball again and you try again. You just got to keep trying to get the ball back and keep going. Um, so like whenever that there's an opportunity to do something, just always try your best, and if it doesn't work out, then you know move on, and next time you get something, try to do well on it again. That's really all you can do.
yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all you can really ask for, right? Like, give it your best, and then see where things fall. Like, if you can do that, and you'll be proud of yourself because you know what your effort was or what you could have done. You will have no regret about, maybe I could have done more. I could have done that. Right? You've done everything you could have done. See where where things fall. I really like that. I guess now transitioning to the last segment of this podcast is what I call the rapid fire. I give you a couple questions and maybe 10 to 15 seconds for you to give an answer. Are you ready?
All right, that sounds fun. Let's do it.
First one, best player you played against and best player you played with.
All right, the best player I played with, I think, was Alex Gradarola at Canisius, center back, Frenchie. He was phenomenal. And then best
Unbelievable
player I
player.
played, unbelievable. And then best player that I played against was in the DA. He played for the Red Bull Academy, and his name was Benjamin Mines. And I remember we were playing them. Sorry, this is bad rapid fire, but I
No,
just
it's good.
remember
It's good.
him. I just remember the ball comes over the top. And I run back, and I'm like one on one with him. And I knew this kid because he was playing. We were playing in the U19s, and he was 15. And I
Wow.
was like, yeah, and he was like their top scorer. And I remember I was like, okay, one on one. I was like, I'm about to stick him, and I'm like, I'm gonna get the ball, and this is gonna be great. And he turned me so bad. He
Wow.
turns me so bad. Goes in and scores, and I was just, and then I was like, oh, whatever. Say, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He also playing professional, right? I think.
Yeah, when he was 16, he was like playing
Wow.
for the actual Red Bulls. I remember freshman year of college, I'm in my room, I'm scrolling Twitter, and I see Ben Mine scores for the Red Bulls, and I was like, bro, this
Oh.
kid turned. I was telling my roommate, I was like, yeah, I stuck him in the corner, got the ball.
Next one. Start one, bench one, sell one. Benzema, Lewandowski, and Luis Suarez.
Easy. Start Big Ben's, bench
Wow.
Lewa, and I'm selling Suarez.
No way, dude. Okay, that's my own opinion,
Yeah,
but okay, yeah,
right,
I
yeah,
respect
right.
it.
This is
I
a different
respect
player. This
it.
is a different player.
That's for you. It's
That's
for you. It's
easy.
not
That's a Ballon
disagree, but
d'Or
okay,
winner.
okay. Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi every time.
Fair, fair. Haaland or Mbappe?
I think I'm more of a fan of Holland, but I think Mbappe is the better player. I think Mbappe is the better player, 100%.
Okay, interesting take. Who's winning the Champions League this year?
City is they're gonna breeze through. They're gonna breeze through.
They're gonna get over that choking, bro. Like they've been the favorites every last 3 4 years, and they haven't done it yet. So this is the final year they do it.
This is the only year that matters, bro. This is it. This is it for them.
All right. Last question. Who's winning Euros 2024?
Uh, Hungary. Zavazlai. Zavazlai, bro.
All right, man. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate having you on the show.
Thanks, dude. Anytime.
Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen and support this podcast. It is very much appreciated. Please follow the show if you don't already do so. The show can be found on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the rest of the other major platforms. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Much love. This show is produced by Yak Awok and original music by Scott Holmes.